And the nice thing is, though, I got Drake. Drake's going to produce all this. You want to pull this mic so you're chewing on it. There we go. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, you ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
Let's do it. First one ever.
Yeah, I know.
We're doing it.
Like old day.
Oh, man. Hey, everybody, welcome to the HSA podcast. Today I have a very special guest with us, Coach Andrew Fountain. I met him as we were both coming up in the player development or the coaching ranks. We coached at Shortridge. Coach, but then I want him to go back and introduce himself as a player, as a coach, and everything he's done. I known him as a coach on the coaching side, a very professional relationship with him. We coached at Shortridge together, and then after that, you moved on to another school. But I remember always keeping in touch with you. We've always had a great friendship, always had a great brotherhood. We went through the trenches together on a lot of different things, and we definitely had a lot of good stories because we built a program up.
From literally nothing.
Nothing. We didn't have players. We didn't have a weight room.
Yeah,
We had sophomores and freshmen competing at a varsity level, and we just looked at each other. We were just banging our head on the wall every other day, and it's actually interesting because we're going to talk about this, but you ended up back there not soon after that. But real quick, before we get into that, Coach Fountain, I want you to take a step back and talk about your playing career. Where did you start? What did you do? Who is Andrew Fountain, the player?
Well, I'm originally from Gary, Indiana, so I went to Horseman High School. Played there. Then once I graduated, ended up trying to figure out what I was going to do when I graduated. I had went to Indiana State. Ended up walking on there for a hot second. Had a cup of coffee. Didn't do it all my time there, but I did end up walking on there.
Well, real quick, that is an accomplishment. To walk on to Division School One is not just, oh, I barely made it. Like that's an accomplishment.
The funny part about that story is like I was still trying to. I had aspirations, obviously, like everybody else was doing college basketball. One of my coaches were, and I was decent in high school. I wasn't like this, I wasn't anything like that. But I mean, I voiced my opinion to my coaches about like, man, I want to go somewhere and play. And luckily, I had some coaches that really believed in me. It was like, hey man, if you keep working, you can get there. The funny thing about it is one of the assistant coaches, he had some ties into Indiana State somehow. I don't know what happened, but they wrote me some letters of recommendation. Did not know that these letters were written.
So they went behind your back and wrote it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm at school. We're almost like halfway into the quarter, and trials are getting ready to come up or whatever. And we're in the gym. We're playing, and a lot of the assistant coaches and players used to come in there and play like in a little rec center area. Just so happens I get these guys are coming in, and coaches get on the floor, and I'm on their team. I'm like, oh man, this is my time.
Yeah.
So I get on there and I'm killing. I'm really really shooting the ball well. I'm making good plays. And after that, I was like, oh man, I hope they even notice. And trial comes, I do really good, and they call me back. And it was like, man, I know your name from somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I just don't know who you are. They asked me who I was after those games.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they was like, man, I know. And one of the coaches did say, he was like, man, I know that name from somewhere. Don't know where, but I just know that name.
Yeah.
I ended up making the team, walking on or whatever. And then when I got pulled into the office, like, hey man, I know where I know you now from. I'm like, nobody knows me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, hey man, we got these letters from a coach from Gary, from this Horseman, right? It's like, yeah, man, got these letters right here, and they was asking us, did we have a walk-on position? Hey man, we've been looking all over for you. I'm like, what? I'm like, I had no idea.
But you know where to find me on the court.
Yeah.
All you had to do was go to the court.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that was pretty cool to know that some coaches were looking out for me.
So I want to dig into that a little bit, if you don't mind. Basically, what I heard you say, and I'm going to regurgitate what I heard you say, and this is probably going to play into the future of who you are as a person, but somebody believed in you
For sure.
more than you knew, or more than they. But they also used their connections.
For sure.
They didn't just sit on their hands.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're gonna come back to that eventually.
Yeah.
But like that's pretty cool right there to hear that somebody. I mean, I say it's like a tree. Yeah, you see the tree, but you don't ever see the roots growing.
For sure.
And so that was interesting. I just want to touch on that real quick. So,
Yeah.
but you walk on spot.
Yeah, so I ended up getting a walk on spot, and then I didn't handle some business that I needed to handle off the court, and they ended up having to bring me back into the office, and it was like, hey man, dude, you need to handle this first before we even think about doing that. The thing, and also the super cool thing about it is I made some relationships with those coaches that were there, Coach Rick Ray and Coach Kareem Richardson. These dudes like. Not necessarily like took me under their wing, but it was something that I was watching from them. You know, once I knew who they were, I started watching them. You know, these are two young black males that are in having a little bit of power, having some influence, and adding value to a lot of stuff that's going on campus. And I'm like, man, these dudes they got the juice. You know, and I'm.
Do you still talk to them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Every
Okay.
so often, I get a call every now and again, or I'll call them just to ask them for some advice. I've got other stories about that stuff too, but like they, you know, those were some guys that I kind of looked up to, and I'm not sure if they even know this at all. And if this is to ever get out, this would be something that I was telling them. Like they had a big influence on me to be able to go and coach, and the more time I got to spend with them, because I had a class that I ended up taking where this class met one time, which was crazy. And this class met one time, and it said the teacher told us, "Hey man, this class is about basically you getting an internship. You whatever you want to do in sports, I want you to go find it because I majored in rec sports management.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to do in sports, you go find that particular thing. And what you need to do is fill out some paperwork. You get it back to me, and then you got to write a paper every week." So I was like, man, this is easy. You know, I went to Coach Ray, and I said, hey man, I got this class. This is what it's about. He said, man, yeah, man, you can come do whatever you want. Man, these guys with Coach Waltman, who was the actual coach, these guys let me sit in on meetings. They showed me how to break down film. I was at practice I was a stats guy for practice.
So is this while you were still walking on, or is this after the walk on?
This was after the walk-on position was.
So let me key on this. Let me key on this.
Yeah.
Okay. You had an opportunity. You got a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
and the blessing didn't go your way. We'll just leave it at that.
For sure.
And then you had an opportunity to burn a bridge,
Mm-hmm.
tell them where to stick it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you go off and you live your high road.
Mm-hmm.
Or you humble yourself and you say, hey, it didn't work out for me, but you were mature enough to keep that relationship in your pocket to the point where they still wanted to help you after that.
But the thing about it is, it wasn't their fault; it was my fault, and I had to own up to that.
A lot of people don't, though.
And a lot of people don't.
A lot of people don't.
Yeah. So I mean, I owned up to my part, and I was like, you know what, I do have to be better, and if this is something that I want to do, if it ever the opportunity comes again, I want to be prepared for it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And then once I got kind of off into this coaching realm and trying to figure out what I was going to do next, I mean, this was like right up my alley. And Coach Ray brought me into his office once that particular class ended, and he was like, "Hey man, I think I just see." He was like, "Man, I see you interact with the players. I see how you interact with us, man. I think you would be a really good coach."
You didn't lie.
I was like, "Dude, nah, man."
You didn't lie.
I was like, "Nah, man, this is not something that would ever. I would never be able to do that." He was like, "Yeah, man, I think you need to think about 500 shots a day. We had there's different skill stuff that I had him do. It was pretty cool to see. But I mean, to say all that, I mean, those guys were the guys that I looked up to be where I'm at today. I guess you could say.
No, and then skipping forward a little bit, you were at Shortridge,
Mm-hmm.
so you got into coaching.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you coaching before you and I crossed paths? Was that your first job?
No, that was actually my first job in Indianapolis.
Okay.
After I graduated Indiana State, I ended up getting an internship at Purdue Calumet,
Okay.
and I got an internship with the rec sports program, but I also did an internship with the basketball team. And Gary Hayes was the coach then. He former coach of the Griffith team that went to the state championship.
Mhm.
Um, he kind of let me do whatever when I got there. When I got there, I kind of just like I put guys in workout programs. He let me take over the weight program, individual workouts. I did all that stuff, and then he was like, "I don't have to do that. This is all you." And I put it all together, and he let me just run with it and gave me those responsibilities, and it was an awesome thing to see because I didn't think that I would ever be in that particular position.
And it's funny because when I was younger, and you weren't on staff together,
Mhm.
and it was never us butting heads.
Mhm.
It was always, hey, you want to do this, and I support you. You supported
Mhm.
me. And a lot of young coaches, they butt heads, and that's one reason I wish I was old enough to understand who I was working with, and I always had a respect for you because it was never me versus you.
Mhm.
It was all of us in the same room working at the same part. And I mean, it's just good to see that happen because I know I've always had a high respect for you, even when we were working together. We didn't always agree with each other, but we didn't need to agree with each other. We were here to win games.
Right.
Whatever best decision wins goes. And so, so you went from there to Shortridge, and then Shortridge. Where did you go after Shortridge?
So I went from Calumet College, then I took some time off, then I went to Shortridge, and then I went to Fishers.
Okay.
I stayed at Fishers for 9 years, coached under Joe Leonard.
Yep.
And for 6 of those 9, and then the last 3, I coached under there with Matt Moore.
Okay.
He's at Warsaw now. Um, 2 great coaches. I learned a lot from those guys. I can't even express my gratitude towards both of those coaches.
Absolutely.
I learned a lot of things from Coach Leonard about relationships and how to build relationships with your players, and how to not just build relationships with players, but build relationships outside of your program. And that is huge. And like how he took care of the janitors, how he took care of certain teachers that helped out the program. Like he did everything for those people and made sure they felt a part of it. Coach Moore, it was more he showed me how to build a program, which is really cool to see because I applied for the job when he applied for the job. And again, this goes back to like humbling myself to see because I could have been mad about the situation,
Oh.
but I wasn't. The thing about it is he got the job, and one of his first calls was me. And I'm thinking like, man, should I stay? Should I go? What should I do? One thing that I thought about was like, the one thing I've never seen was how to build a program from the beginning, and I was able to see that.
Yeah.
Matt, and he did a great job of building that program to where it was, continuing it from where Coach Leonard was to where it is now.
And a lot of times coaches come in, and even players, to a point where a coach has been established and think this has always been the norm. This is how we always do it. But the fact that you were there from step 1 to step 2 to step 3, and I know you probably had a lot of say so, which going back to Shortridge probably helped enrich you a little bit because you saw, okay, this is what we did wrong, this is what we did right, take this, take that. And so Fishers, and now you went to, this is the part where you were a head coach at Shortridge.
Yeah. This is where I move over 6 inches.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big difference when you move that to that next seat. And, I thought I was prepared for it. I thought I was ready to do it. Obviously, when we were at Shortridge, we knew we had some dynamics that were just like we couldn't figure it out, or we could. There was just so many hurdles that we had to jump, and some of them we couldn't even climb because of thing is, like, Coach Hamilton, he figured out a way all the time.
Oh.
I got a lot of gratitude for him too as well. So he taught us a lot.
He did.
He taught
He
us a
did.
lot. He taught us a lot. But being at Short Ridge, I mean, that helped me, to understand that, every coach wants to be a head. Every coach wants to be a head coach or something.
Yeah.
And I think as a coach, you would want to strive to do that. And once you get a taste of it, you can figure out if it's for you or if it's not for you.
Yeah.
I had a story where I did the Illinois camp, and Bruce Weber was there,
Mhm.
and one of his assistants, I think it was his top assistant, older gentleman. I'm at breakfast and I'm just, eating. And he comes and sits next to me and he's talking to me, and I'm like, I don't know him not a clue. And we having this great conversation. And at that time, I was still an assistant, still trying to, find my way. And I was asking him about, had he ever been a head coach? He was like, yeah, I've been a head coach before, but you know what? Being a head coach is not for me. I like this role of being an assistant, which is, I was like, that's really cool for him to be able to be humble enough to say that.
Mhm.
Because most people, with most coaches that are coaching, think that, oh man, I can be a head coach, and sometimes it's not.
No.
Not it. But him saying that helped me to realize that, hey, I have to try it, because he influenced me to try it. And Matt Moore, who, he, every summer that I was with him, he made sure that I applied for at least one job.
Yeah.
And he prepared me and helped me get me prepared for interviews and things like that. So, but the Short Ridge job came about, and it was something that I wanted. It was something that I thought I could do. I thought they had pieces there that could win. I thought the program was on an uphill scale, and Craig Kojak, who was the AD, who was great to me. I love him to this day. I mean, he believed in me and he hired me. And the kids that we had there were really, really good. It was time for my time. My 3 years there. It was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. I had old guys in that first year from the old regime. Those guys bought in really, really well, and we won 7 games. And then once those guys graduated, because they were seniors, and we had a senior-led ball club, then we took a step back. You know what I'm saying? Because now the kids that are coming up now, they're getting used to me and the coaching staff and how I do things and everything. So we took it down. I think we only won like 4 games or something like that.
But I want to throw something out there as you're talking. I heard about I'm hearing a parallel story.
But
And so I'm with you with the assistant coach. I love being an assistant. When the head coach, I get less court time. I'm like, I got jersey colors and grades. I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on pick and roll stuff.
Yeah.
But going back to your playing career, coaching career, you could have forced something. You could have forced it playing. You could have forced. Now I don't want to get into coaching. I want to play. It's about me. And with the players to get bought in, and I know we're gonna say this point guard. Everyone's a point guard.
Yeah.
Hey, you're 6'10". You're a good wing. Nah, I'm a point guard. Everyone wants to be a shooting point guard.
Yeah, for sure.
But to me, what I heard your seniors say was like, hey, I can accept my role. You can accept your role as an assistant.
Mm-hmm.
You can accept your role as the number 2 scorer or the number 4 scorer, or hey, I'm the best rebounder. I'm the best headhunter. I'm the best screener. I'm the best, at doing certain. But to me, it sounds like that first team. It sounds like they were more accepting to fill the roles.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think those kids were really, really good, man. I think they were thirsting for some discipline. I think they had never seen or heard somebody demand something from them. Like when I first got there, we make the team, and these guys are like, "Hey, coach, we got practice on Saturday." It's like, we're a 4A team, man.
Yeah.
We're a 4A ball club, man. We got practice on Saturdays, bro. Like, we're gonna run this thing the right way. We're gonna do everything the right way. We're not gonna skip any steps. We're gonna do everything the right way. And those kids jumped head in first, and they bought into it. And I was telling them they didn't understand what it meant to work and to grind. And once they saw how it needed to
But and something else, there's the common used word that we're all getting ready for. That's culture.
Mm-hmm.
That's culture.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
started with you, and it trickled down. They bought in.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
me about a time. You don't have to say names when a player didn't buy in, and how did that happen? What was your what's your, I go down and I tell people this. This is the way I operate. Everyone knows I operate. I say it nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you know what? I need you to go with the left hand.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I bark.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, I punish.
Yeah.
And then after that, I kick out. Those are my 4 steps.
Yeah.
If talking didn't work, maybe yelling would help.
Yeah.
If yelling didn't work, maybe discipline would help. Guess
Yeah.
what? Discipline didn't work. We're just not set for this. Let's move on with our lives. What's kind of your checklist on that? How do you develop that?
First off, I think I normally always have a player meeting once that team is made.
Okay.
It's a player meeting. I set the tone for what our pillars are and what we stand for, and why we have these pillars.
Team meeting or individuals?
No, this is team.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is team. Because I need everybody to understand why we're doing the stuff that we're doing.
Yeah.
Because they didn't understand. A lot of the guys didn't understand. Like some of these guys nowadays they have like these like different color undergarments on and all this thing and other. And I'm like, no, we're not doing that. We're not having the we're not having the t-shirt on with yellow with the yellow stain on it.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna look presentable. First of all, this is how we're gonna do it this way. So now you understand why it needs to be this way. I normally have a player meeting. I had a player meeting and we talked about our pillars and we set some milestones. Not necessarily goals, I call them milestones because we gotta figure out how to set short goals. And it might be this week you need to have 3 good practices out of this week. Not to say we should have any bad ones.
Yeah.
But just because of the type of students and the type of kid that we had, and not understanding what it means to come into practice every single day, maybe this is what we need. We need to have a goal here, and then it might be next week. It might be, oh, we got this game. We need to make sure that these particular milestones are set. And I think that again, having and what we also did was we had team circles. In those team circles we not talked about basketball, we talked about life. We talked about what does it mean to be a man? How do you approach things as a man? Things of that nature. I got a good story about a kid that we were watching film, getting ready to play. Film was supposed to be at 4 o'clock. Like 4 o'clock film. We need more time. You should have been in there warming up. We'll come in for film at 4. Kid texts me at 3:55. Says, "Hey, I got a haircut, man. I don't think I'm gonna make it to film."
Haircut.
Yeah. I said, what? I said, what? I didn't even answer. So he comes walking in, 3:15, 4:15, almost 4:30 or something like that. And he looks at me, doesn't say sorry, doesn't say anything, just kind of gets, and we're getting done. We're in the locker room. We're getting done with filming. It's like getting ready to go back out, and he doesn't say anything to me. I was like, okay, so this is the route we're going.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is where the culture part that you're talking about starts to set in with you. So I was going to start him this game, and we go out, and we come back in. I normally would write the starters and who would start on the board. His name wasn't up there, and he was like, what? So I kind of get after him in the locker room. So the whole pregame speech is about him and about how we don't do that. We don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not culturally
This
acceptable.
is not acceptable. You missing a film session is not acceptable. What does that say to your teammates? I said, you can be mad all you want, but I was the one that missed. These guys didn't miss. So I'm not going to punish them for missing, and I'm not going to reward you for missing. You know what I'm saying? So that's not what we do. So he's sitting there pouting and this, that, and the other. And I was like, and I told him, I said, if you sit on that bench and pout throughout this game, you will not play another minute for me. Because it's bigger than that. So he's out there. We start the game. He doesn't start. I don't play him the first quarter. Don't play him the second quarter. I don't play him until like maybe a minute to go in the 4th. So he walks off the floor. We end up winning the game. It was great. told you, I called you, this is another. I let you know that I was gonna be late. I was like, it's not about you being late. It's about your priority and what was most important at that point in time. So I'm not missing a film session to get a haircut. I'm not doing that. And the bad part about a haircut wasn't even that great. You know what I'm saying? So we're going back and forth, and once he, and long story short, he understood where it was coming from. After that, he was our best guy. He was our best guy.
But once you set that tone,
But yeah,
and again, going back to what we said, and this is the parallel of your life.
Yeah.
This is the parallel of your life. A bad decision happens, and I tell people this all the time. I get on to players and they get mad, and I don't lie to people. I make that a habit of point to tell. I'm not lying to you. I don't lie to you. I haven't lied. I don't lie.
Yeah.
And so you could take this point, and there's two options that are going to happen. You can resent me, and you could hold on to this, and it could be personal, and it could keep growing this way.
Yeah.
Or you could take that decision and say, hey, you know what? That old guy was right about something.
For sure.
And I'm going to continue to grow and listen. But don't get me wrong. The appropriate thing you did, though, was you met him where he was, and you held your ground. And I feel like not a lot of coaches, but bad leaders, they just kind of let it go. Of like, well, I said my piece, and it's done. You know, you could have punished him and not carried on, but you brought him in, and you explained to him, hey, this is what happened. This is what needs to happen, which is great leadership on your part. But it's also, players got to understand that when a coach rips you, when a coach says something, when there's, and it happens to everybody, every player on the team, there's some kind of come to Jesus meeting, you know, the call out meeting. You could be resentful about it, or you could listen and say, there's some truth to this. You know, and it's funny because you and I are about the same age, and our coaching careers have kind of both evolved in the same way.
For sure.
But you know, even as a coach, I was told A, B, and C, and I was like, that ain't right. But eventually, these old guys that look out for us, at some point in time, they're always right.
Yeah.
They're like everything Hamilton told us. And we look back like, you know, I remember being 25 years old, be like, this old man don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then we come back like, Hamilton was right.
Yes.
But yeah, eventually the old man's gonna be right.
Yeah. I like that.
The old man.
Eventually, the old man is going to be right.
Man, that happened right away. But eventually, that haircut, and this was me at Broad Ripple. There was a kid that I was teaching at Broad Ripple. I taught 8th grade science, loved it, and there was a kid that was selling candy out of his backpack, which was illegal. I mean, you weren't supposed to do it, but and he did it low key. He knew I didn't know the rules, so he was running all over me. And I pulled him aside one day, and I was like, "Hey, man, his name is Ronald. I really want to connect with this guy again. I don't remember his last name, but I told him, I was like, hey, man, your life is going to go one of two directions. Either you're going to keep doing this and you're going to sell stuff that you're not supposed to be selling, and you're going to end up in prison, or you're going to go to college and you're going to make a good life selling things that you can be selling, medical equipment or something." And it was interesting because he ended up playing at Broad Ripple, and man, I really wish I could connect with this kid. But in the warm-up line, he comes over to me, gives me a hug, and says, "Hey, I got into IU School of Business, and it was your talk that got me there." But it was one of those, he could have looked at me and said, "Nah, old man, you don't know what you're talking about." And it's funny because I'm correlating this life of there's a point where you get to make a decision. And so I love the fact that you just, I mean, for the record, for every 10 decisions that we make, only 2 of them really work out the way we want them to. There's 8 more that, like, I really wish would have gone the right way. So I want to dig into this. You said something years ago that said, Paul, you got to understand, when a kid gets to the high school level, and this is the part where we're really getting into the meat of things. By the time a kid gets to the high school level, I'm the 5th person to contact that person. You have the parents. You have the player development coach. You have the AAU coach. And then you have some kind of, I forgot who it was, a handler or someone like that, someone that's making moves for the kid. I'm the 5th person, so you've already had 4 major influences on that kid before you get a chance to work with them. What is that like? Like, what is that, a good thing, a bad thing, the negatives, the positives? Where are you with that?
I think every kid now, I mean, they have to have a support system in hand, especially if they're any good, obviously. You know, so like, I mean, their parents have to, one, they got to be parents, let coaches coach them.
What is it? Tell me what that looks like, though. What does being a parent look like specifically?
So a parent is obviously a parent is not, you know, hollering across the gym and, you know, hollering at the kids, telling them they got to do this and they got to do that, and obviously that's hard. I got a kid, you know, and I'm sitting up there biting my tongue not to, tell him, hey man, this is what you need to be doing. You know what I'm saying? And I try to make sure that I sit in a place where I'm not seen, and I want to make sure that he's having fun with the actual game itself. And one thing that I think is the game is losing a lot of its innocence about it. You know what I'm saying? Where kid can't go out and just play nowadays. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes parents take that away. Because it's not, because they're looking for the next thing or the next whatever it is for their kid. Parents just got to be parents, man. And parents have to just say, support them in whatever they need, if that makes sense. If they had a bad game, man, you don't have to go over reevaluate the whole game. Just say, hey, man, did you have fun? Were you a great teammate? That's all. Those are the one things that I tell my son. I said, hey, did you have fun?
Did I ever tell you my 3 things I asked my son?
Yeah.
Did you work hard?
Mm-hmm.
Did you listen to the coach? Did you have fun?
Yeah, those are the.
Anything
Yeah.
past that,
Yeah.
if he wants to talk to me,
Mm-hmm.
and don't get me wrong, I told you about the time I screwed that up.
Yeah, I remember you telling
My
me.
very first game, screwed it up. Very first game, my son was crying in the back of the car. But anyway,
I remember that.
but
You told me that.
and those, but it sounds to me like you're doing the same thing.
Yeah, man, and I don't want him to lose a passion for the game because of me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And sometimes some parents can do that. But I think this is the kind of the world we kind of live in now, where it's not like that.
Amateurs are we're treating kids like professionals.
Yeah, for sure. And then I think that also hurts them for when they go to the next level because, I've seen some parents do this to high school coaches where they, come knocking on the door wanting to fight a coach and all this, that, and other. I don't know. Do you remember when one coach came out? I mean, one parent came out of the stands when we were in 8th grade, when we were coaching that 8th grade team.
Yep.
And he wanted to fight me, and I was like, wait a minute. And Hamilton kind of stepped into it, and we went to the locker room. But I mean, those types of things happen.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And those things that stuff can't be done, and that's showing your kid that you're not handling things the right way.
And the carryover. This is where I'm always big into. Basketball emulates life, and if your parent steps in for you as a player, you should have somewhat of a two-way road to communicate with the coach, and you need to take responsibility for that.
For sure.
And how you treat a coach, how you going to treat a boss. And you think your parents are going to sit down in a board meeting and be like, well, actually, what my son is saying is like, no, you got to find a way to advocate for yourself, and that's what sports is for. Letting the kids find their own voice.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you're hindering that, not just child development, but adult development. I've never had to stick up for myself because it didn't happen at a youth level. And so.
And I think also as coaches, we got to make sure that we are providing that space for kids nowadays to come in, because now we're dealing with a lot of mental health issues, a lot of anxiety, a lot of ADHD, a lot of how do I learn type deal, where kids are getting frustrated with things, and how can we help them manage a lot of those emotions right now? And not to say that their emotions are not valid, because they are valid, but from a coaching standpoint, kids aren't how they were in 1997 or 1985, where you can kind of, curse them out and then they just go and just play a little bit harder. Now you gotta, the kids nowadays, they have to know that they know that you have their back, and once they know that, they'll run through a wall.
Oh, yeah.
Wall for you. You know what I'm saying? But also, I mean, we have to provide that as coaches, but also parents have to be more willing to say, hey, let's go talk to your coach.
Yeah.
Speak up for yourself. And it's not something that you have to coach them on. It's just, hey man, just go talk to your coach. I can't help you with this because I'm not at practice every single day. You know what I'm saying? And everybody, and again, it goes from the parents to the trainers to to handlers and all this, that, and other. I mean, everybody has to play their role, and you need to stay in that lane.
That's one thing as a player development coach, where I ask the players all the time, what's your coach saying? And I know a lot of them. Like if a Mount Vernon kid came to me right now and said, hey, I need to do ABC, I'm going to listen to that, and I'm going to go home and I'm going to call you.
Yeah.
Hey, this kid said ABC. Oh no, it's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had a young lady I worked out with that she wanted to do floaters and all this other stuff, and I listened to her because that's what her AU coach told her to do. Now she goes to the high school level. She's a freshman playing varsity. I watch her, and she's not using the stuff she said she needed.
Yeah.
And so now she's coming back through midway through the season. I'm like, hey, instead of these floaters, maybe we should have been working on that Luka back down, that Barkley back down. You know, maybe we should have been utilizing more of this stuff. But unfortunately, in that situation, I knew what she needed to work on, but I needed her to find that out on her own. And now that she knows it, and now when I recommend something, it's not just me like being a clown, and it's like, okay, he was right once before. Man, that's all good stuff, man. And for the record, anyone that's listening, I really hope you're digging in on this because Coach Drew has said some very, very valuable things. And like, if you go through, yeah, they're just stories, but there's a lot of gems in here that y'all need to listen to. Like, I got one more question for you, and then we're out of here. You're now the commissioner of worldwide basketball, or at least America. Whatever rule Andrew Fountain says goes. It could be a 4-point line. It could be, you know, everyone has to make 500 layups before they can play in a league. Any rule you say has to anything. You can limit games. You could do away with the high school basketball. You could do away if you were to restructure, do anything. What would it be? Whatever it says goes.
Oh man, I don't know.
This is my hot spot question, by the way.
This is a great question, man. Like, I think I would say all kids would have to play outside during the summer.
Ooh. No indoor gyms.
No indoor gyms.
All concrete.
All concrete.
With the breeze and everything.
Double rims.
The double rims.
Chain nets. All that stuff.
Oh my
Or
gosh.
No nets. None of that stuff. I think you got to think, I'm probably sounding old, probably right now.
Oh, we sound really old right now. I love it. I love it.
But like, I think in the summertime, that's where you got better. You know what I'm saying? I think in the summertime, you get better in that sense of like everybody comes together in that time. There's no real structured basketball at all, and and the thing about it is you get to make decisions.
Yeah.
Like kids nowadays, they're not making decisions. Like it's you making a decision for them, or me making a decision for them, or mom or dad, or whoever else that's in their life that's making that decision. Like when you played, I hate saying that, but like you went to a court and like your job was to pick your five,
Mm-hmm.
and then that five determined if you won or not.
You know, if you stayed off the court for the next 7 games.
Yeah. But also you get a chance, but also I will put in a rule of you have to play. The younger guys have to play with older guys, you know, and those older guys have to mentor those younger guys.
Oh.
Because I learned a lot from a lot of the older guys that I played with, and those guys would like some of those guys would come pick me up and say, man, let's go hoop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, yeah, dog, I'm coming to hoop with you, dog. You know?
And it's funny though because if you were on the outside looking in, so I got to play at Hurlburt Field in Florida, and there was a weight room that overlooked the court. And if you were to stand on that weight room and overlook the court, you would have thought it was child abuse. I coming out with bloody noses, I'm holding my mouth, and I'm getting thrown around and rocked to the court. But it's also interesting because that was the point where, like I got my nugget rocked, but that guy that hit me and totally took my head off was the first guy to pick me up and say, hey man, you got to see that screen coming.
Yep, exactly.
Hey man, you got to get your hands up. Like, but it was the punishment happened and then the lesson happened. And so I agree with that. I agree with that. And I remember there was a 6'8" guy from Brooklyn who was, this is And One mixtape. You know, he would always tell me stuff, and it would just like, I don't think anybody had a bigger impact on me. And I don't even know the guy's name. I just knew he was Brooklyn at 6'7". And but man, I like that rule. Andrew, hey man, this has been fun, man. I really hope that the people listening to this, there are so many parallels that you could be taking of making decisions. You also don't understand how small the world is.
For sure.
It's a big world, but it's a small world. If you and I went through our contacts, you'd be surprised how many people we can meet within 2 or 3 phone calls from us. Not to mention the playing world too. You burn a bridge that you could have very well made those Indiana State coaches upset. Burned all those bridges. They got to call Hamilton like, I got nothing good to say about him. And also at the same time though, I just want you to understand that from day one until now, I've kept a good relationship with you because the absolute respect I have for you as a person, as a dad, as a human, as a coach, and the coach being the last part, but all the other ones being more crucial than the coach, I saw that maturity growing up and coming up with you because you and I were in the same boats. We could have butted heads. We could have been frenemies. But you know, you're one of those guys that I've always secretly rooted for. You know, I go check the scores at Shortridge and at Mount Vernon, and I'm like, I'm glad he's doing well. I'm glad he's doing well.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you, man. I have the utmost respect, and make sure you subscribe. Make sure you listen. There's a lot of good stuff coming. Thanks, Drew.
I
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. How much time do we get? 41 minutes.
I hope I answered all those questions.
You answered all of them, man. That's exactly. Hey,